The Legend of Zelda is personally one of my favorite series in the gaming world. I remember being 13 years old playing Ocarina of Time. It was the first time in my life I stayed up all night until daybreak playing a game. I remember finally going to bed before my parents woke up, not just as Justin, but as the hero of time. The Legend of Zelda series is a staple in the Nintendo franchise. Its characters are not just featured in Zelda games, but across different Nintendo games such as Super Smash Bros. And the Mario Kart games. The Legend of Zelda takes place in the land of Hyrule. Each game in the Legend of Zelda series tells an important part of the history of Hyrule. The series focuses on three central figures: Zelda, the Princess of Hyrule; Link, the hero and main protagonist of the game; and Ganon, the evil antagonist. The story is always about Link's call to save the kingdom of Hyrule under the evil reign of Ganon. In each game, a different version of Link is reincarnated throughout time to save the day. Link will begin his quest with basically nothing, but over time he will begin wielding swords, shields, armor sets, and collecting items along the way like bombs, flutes, bows, slingshots, and other various tools. So far in our series, we have talked more about open world games where you choose where to go and what to do. That was true of Subnautica, Minecraft, and Skyrim. While Hyrule is relatively open, the game is much more linear than the previous we've mentioned. For example, in the Ocarina of Time, you can explore and go anywhere you wish. But you reach a point in the game that to progress, you need to get the bomb bag to access Mount Goron. In Wind Waker, you cannot sail your boat to certain islands until you obtain a flute to change the direction of the wind. In Breath of the Wild, you can stay on the Great Plateau the entire game if you want. But if you actually want to finish the game, you have to get off of it. Thus, you have to get the glider. When the game gives you something or leads you towards something, it's for a reason. Okay, when the game leads you down a certain path, it's for a reason. And this all may seem unnecessary and redundant to mention. Most games are like that, but here's my point. And you might pick up on this theme. In The Legend of Zelda, when the time is right, a hero emerges. When the time is right, a hero will have what he needs. So in other words, when Hyrule needs Link, they get him. When Link needs an item to move forward in his journey, he'll find it. It's a theme of timing. And the timing in The Legend of Zelda is right. The theme of timing is also one of the great themes of the Bible. God too has his own timing. But God's timing is rarely our timing, which is why one of the most frequent cries in the Psalms is, "How long, Lord? How long must we wait? How long will it be? When will this be over? Why can't it end now? Why can't it end now? What's the reason you have to make this go even longer?" And when it comes to our faith, faith is in part the ability to trust that if you knew everything God knew and could understand all of it and could see all the things that he could see, faith is basically saying, okay, I get it now. I get it now. I understand now. I see now. Our vision is so limited, and the pain that we can feel for so long can affect us. But if we knew everything that God knew, we would say, I see it. I understand. I understand what you're doing there. We have to understand that God's delays are not his denials. God might not be saying no, but he might be saying wait. And sometimes your plan and God's plan are two different things. When your plan falls apart, it means that it just wasn't God's. And he is clearing the way for you. God has a different way. God has a better way. God has his schedule, and his timing is always right. You may feel like you're in a hurry. You may have a feeling of urgency you want to act on. But God is not stirred into any kind of frenzy, nor is he anxious just because you are. But instead, the book of Ecclesiastes sums it up well in chapter 3. It says that God has made everything appropriate in its time, that there is an appointed time for everything. There are people that we read about in the Old Testament when God's people needed a hero, God raised them up and led them. This is true of Moses, true of Gideon, of Samson, Esther, King David, and many others. God led these men and women to rise up and lead their people to freedom, lead their people to victory, and defeat those who sought to harm them. And God gave them what they needed when they needed it. For Moses, it was the sign of the burning bush and parting the Red Sea. For Gideon, it was the wet fleece one morning and the dry fleece the next. For Samson, his brute strength. For Esther, it was her powerful influence with the king. David, his courage and warrior spirit. God bestowed those things and came through when it mattered and when the time was right. Most importantly, when the world seemed dark, it seemed irredeemable, broken, and twisted, when the darkness of sin and evil loomed over the earth. The way Galatians 4 puts it, when the fullness of time came, God sent forth his Son. Link is easily the Jesus figure in the story of Zelda. This is one of the great themes of Zelda and why it's so popular, honestly. Evil overcomes the land. Things look hopeless. A hero emerges and saves the day. Link does this by destroying the evil Ganon when things look past the point of rescue. Jesus does it by destroying the grip that sin has over us when things look past the point of rescue for us. So the next time you play Zelda, if you ever do, remember that God's timing is not our timing, but rather God's timing is right. God's timing is perfect. Until next time.